The best way to find a mentor is to find someone who's doing something that you're interested in and help them. I always tried to find people who are doing really interesting, extraordinary things and chip in however I could. You're delivering value before you ask for something in return, so it's more in your control. So that's the advice that I give to most people who are looking for mentorship.
That's a powerful strategy. Hey there, Lead the Team Nation. Welcome back to another great episode. Today, I have for you Michael Yamartino, who is CEO of Route, a company that powers package tracking, shipping insurance, and carbon offsetting. Prior to this role, Michael held roles at companies like Pinterest, Microsoft, and Envision, helping shape Pinterest's product landscape as its first ever product manager. Holy smokes. Now at Route, Michael works with over 13,000 brands, including Aloe, Solo Stove, and more to provide package protection and greener shipping. Michael, welcome to Lead the Team.
Excited to be here. Thanks.
Man, looking forward to this one today. So let's talk about how you made the transition from Senior Vice President of Products and Partnerships to becoming CEO of Route.
Yeah, well, the company Route is about 5 years old, and so I joined 4 years ago. So the founders, Evan and Mike, have done a great job of finding this incredible market and building an incredible product. And I signed up to help them take it into the next chapter and build the product. And sort of the approach I've taken to every job I've had throughout my career is to listen, understand the problems around me, and just solve whatever I can, contribute however I can. I've been lucky to work with some really, really great founders and executives and just partner with them and drive the business forward and give them leverage. And so what started as just products and we added in partnerships, added in operations over time to that. And then last summer, the founders wanted to make a transition. And so I asked if I would take over the CEO role day to day. And been a year in seat, and it's been a blast. So really great journey.
Yeah, so cool. Now, when I read your intro, people are probably like, Pinterest, right? Like, what in the world? What was it like being involved in Pinterest early on? And what was it like? What was it like being in the product side of it?
It was a fantastic experience. It's you don't get those opportunities very often. The company was about 25 people when I joined, and
Wow.
just got lucky to get introduced to Ben and Evan, the founders there, and joined up. At the time, I had no idea what the job was going to be. Ben, the founder, said when they made the offer to me, he's like, I can't tell you what your title's going to be, what your job's going to be, but it's going to be fun. And he was right. So yeah.
Do you like pretty pictures? Yes. Do you like the internet? Yes. Okay. I'm in. Is that how the conversation went? I'm just kind of kidding, but I mean, that's ground. 25 employees. Was it in somebody's garage at the time?
It was out of the garage phase. It was in I think it was actually technically the second office, but yeah, still everybody fit in one room. And we had an all hands, everyone just stood up and grabbed a beer when the only kind of monitoring that we has with people were hitting refresh on Pinterest.com. And if it went down, someone would stand up and say, it's down, and everyone would scramble and fix it. So it was pretty fun. I think the founders did just an awesome job of building a great early team there. So still friends with a lot of that crew and kind of the opportunity of a lifetime. So I got to do partnerships, corporate development, product growth, sort of touched every part of the product, but spent a lot of time there building out an e-commerce platform. So thinking a lot about how are we going to bring products and brands and retailers into Pinterest and build really good experiences for the users to discover products and buy them. So that had me primed to work in e-commerce and get connected to Route later on.
Good grief, man. And Microsoft, Envision, like this is like the Hall of Fame of resumes. So you got Pinterest, Microsoft, and Envision. We're going to get to Route more in a second, but what did you learn working for all these rock star companies that the rest of the leaders need to understand? What do you think?
Well, at Microsoft, it was a really interesting time. It was a period of transition. It was just before the current leadership team, so Satya Nadella and his team had taken over. So we were working with them on figuring out the cloud computing strategy. And I was part of this corporate strategy and acquisitions team. And what I learned there is that was my first job in technology. And so really starting at the maximum scale, there isn't really
I
bigger
think
set
it
of
was
problems to
bigger.
solve than
Maybe Google, or maybe Google wasn't as big at the time.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
this was during a time when Microsoft had sort of missed in search, missed in social, missed in mobile, and was looking for that next wave of success. And I think one of the things that I learned there is that when you have a really powerful network effect, when you have a really powerful core product, which Microsoft did and still does with Windows, with Office, and the like, and that you can keep making really big bets. And even if they don't work out, you get more swings. And so creating those ecosystems where, as Bill Gates always said, if you're creating more value than you capture, those are incredibly powerful positions to be in. You can just build incredible businesses on top of it. So
Hmm.
that was by far the most important
Create
thing.
more value than you capture. Hmm.
That's
I
right.
like that.
Yeah. If you add up Microsoft's revenue, it's always going to be less than the revenue that the rest of the world makes off of Microsoft's products.
Gosh. And Envision. What about you?
Envision was an interesting journey. I joined there before anybody was working from home, and that was at the time one of the largest all remote first companies.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
a shorter stint there than at the other places that I've worked, but it was my first introduction to onboarding into a company this way with a camera. Day one,
This newfangled virtual thing.
right. And the tools weren't as advanced as they are now. The customs weren't, because this was maybe 8 years ago.
Hmm.
So it was really interesting to learn some of the best practices there that became very valuable starting around the time of the pandemic. So it's been great to use some of those skills. And again, I got to work with a really great founder there. Clark was super creative, a great marketing community mind, and I learned a lot from how they had built that, even though I was there just a short time.
Wow. So cool. And now here you are at Route, the great disruptor of the package insurance industry. So, what in the world do people need to understand about this industry, right? And what goes on there? And how are you guys turning things upside down?
Yeah. Well, we really think about it as we're in the business of making shopping better. So we're in the post-purchase e-commerce space. We help brands deliver premium experiences to their customers. And package protection is one of those features. Because we live in this world now where everyone has gotten accustomed to buying from Amazon and getting fast shipping, fast resolution of any issue that they have, complete visibility into that purchase. So you can see when it's arriving, you can control where it's going. You could put in your garage door code if you want it to be left in there. If you want to return it, it's really easy. There's drop-off locations. There's this vast array of kind of amenities that come with buying from Amazon, and customers have that expectation. Most brands don't have the billions of dollars of infrastructure that Amazon has, and almost no brands have the base of Prime. So almost everybody is paying $15 a month for Amazon Prime. And so there's a lot of these benefits that we think of as free, but we're really paying for them. And so
Mm-hmm.
where Route steps in is we help brands meet those expectations of their customers without breaking the bank and without having to build that infrastructure. And so in large part, we do that by offering their customers the ability to pay a small premium to get those services when they're checking out.
So, in other words, they get it fast. They get it
They get
faster
it
than they would
fast.
otherwise. Yeah.
And especially if anything goes wrong, we make it right. So the package protection product that we have, if you order something from one of our merchants and it's lost, damaged, or stolen, we will replace it instantly, or we will give you your money back so that you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to go to UPS, FedEx, DHL, any of those folks. You don't have to talk to your homeowner's insurance. You don't have to call your credit card company or go back to the merchant and hope for a quick response from them. So we really give you, as the customer, a really quick, premium, automated experience when those things go wrong, and we do that in a way that the brands then don't have to pay for.
Yeah. So you're taking away the brand's headache and the receiver's headache. And, not, I don't want to be mean to Amazon Prime here, but I've received plenty of shipments from Amazon where I could not get the problem resolved with what I got, including books. You order a book and you get a completely different book or something along those lines. And it's just like,
This highlights how hard this business is.
yeah.
Even a multi-trillion-dollar company that's been at it for 30 years still makes mistakes. And as a customer, you want that to be fixed. So that's where we step in and help brands out.
Oh man. Well, so with the way things are going in the world of AI and accelerated machine learning and whatnot, how is this impacting and disrupting your industry? What you guys do?
Yeah, well, one of the ways that we are riding that trend and really accelerating it for our brands is we have an app that you can download that allows you to track everything that you order online, even if it's not from one of the brands that we partner with, like you said, the 13,000 brands that we have, and including Amazon. So you can download that app and see everything that you order there. That then gives us really great insight into what you're buying, and we make great recommendations on what you can buy there from the brands that we partner with, and in some cases others as well. So we're able to use that data and the new AI tools to really make some great recommendations that people are excited to see.
Sounds like a good use of that. And it's touching everything, but it's kind of good for leaders to hear about how it's changing your segment of the industry because it'll work back to them and hopefully make things more effective in their business as well. Sort of diving into your own leadership philosophy, what's the one trait you wish you could instill in every employee, and why do you think it's important?
Mm. The one that I like the most is ownership, and it is the most abstract. So it takes a lot of explanation and practice to get right. But what it is if you're owning an outcome, you're owning a part of your job, you're thinking about everything that comes into it, everything that goes out of it, all the interactions that you have with other people, with customers,
Mhm.
and making sure that you see it through. We like to say if you're an owner, you sign up for big things and you see them through. And if everyone is doing that really well, you get a company where people are spotting problems and solving them every day.
Yeah, the way you describe it, it just sounds like people that own it are proactive. And,
Exactly.
man, so when you think about ownership, do you think it's more of nature or nurture in terms of people demonstrating that?
It's both for sure. There's people who are in everything they've done, they've assumed that there's no one else who's going to pick up the ball if not them. There's people who definitely come into every job with the mentality that no job is too small, no job is not my job, and I love that.
Hmm.
But there are things that you can do to create that environment for people as well. You can make sure that you're creating clear roles and responsibilities for everyone so that they understand where definitely they play, and then they can expand from there if needed. You can also encourage risk and resolve conflicts really well when they arise, so that people don't feel like the tallest blade of grass is the one to get cut first or something like. There's lots of negative connotations to sort of stepping outside of your job description, that sometimes rattle around people's heads or can infiltrate a company culture. And so if you proactively combat that and create an environment where if you can say that you're solving a problem for a customer and that you're moving the business forward, that's a win, regardless of whether your boss told you to do it, regardless of whether it was in your job description when you signed up. And I think that's one of the things that you learn, at a startup that's a little harder to learn at a large company, where there's almost always someone whose job it is to do the thing that you're encountering.
What great guidance for ownership for leaders to be thinking about there. Several things, but the big one there at the end is, hey, as long as you're focused on adding value to the customer and solving their problem, like that's the problem to own. It's not the org chart. It's, hey, are we delivering? And if you can own that responsibility, you're probably gonna be in the good. Although I did notice the first thing you said was defining their roles and responsibilities, which in tech and a fast growing company like Route, probably not easy. How are you managing that dang thing? Because if the company's growing that fast and your customer needs are changing that fast, how often are you revisiting people's job responsibilities, helping them through that?
Um, as infrequently as you can manage, but as often as you need to, which is a very broad answer. But
Okay.
the more stability that you have in most cases with people's jobs, the longer that they're able to develop expertise, practices that make them efficient and really skilled in getting things done. I find the way that works best is to be really functionally organized. So right now, Route is there's no business units and we're pretty flat organizationally. So we've got a head of engineering, we've got a head of product, a head of design, a head of marketing, head of sales, and so on, so that it's very clear who's responsible for what. And I think of that as it's a starter list. That your job description is the things that you are first and foremost responsible for, but it's not the only things that you can do or can contribute to the company.
Mm.
And so keeping those things more functionally aligned lets you know that, okay, if I've got a problem with the way that things look, that's a design problem, almost certainly. If I've got a problem with the way that the technology works, I'll go and talk to the person in charge of engineering. Um, and those tend to be more stable job descriptions than having somebody be responsible for a changing business initiative or something like that.
Yeah, I like that. Consider the job description as a starter list. Frankly, I think everyone would be better off if they started like that. This is what I'm minimally responsible for, and everything else I get to dive into. I get to be more entrepreneurial in how I approach it and more creative. I mean,
Yeah.
what a cool way to do it. Now let's dig into your background a little bit more here. When's the time you had an unexpected twist or failure in your career, and how did it lead to your success or growth on down the road?
Before Microsoft, before Pinterest, I right out of college joined an investment bank as I wanted to get out of academia, try something new. And this was before the financial crisis, so boom times. Everything was good, and in finance at least. And one of the things that I learned pretty quickly was that the thing that I liked most about it was just the technology, just the strategy, just all of the companies that we were serving. And so I thought that that angle of going into it from the finance perspective would be the way to go. And very, over the course of a couple of years, realized that I needed to make a hard pivot, and so moved over, took a massive pay cut to join Microsoft in a strategy role where I was not fully qualified for that role. I had maybe 10% of the skills that I needed, but I knew that I would work hard, and I got lucky that the team there was taking a bet on me, and so was able to kind of take that risk, realize I was heading in the wrong direction, take a step back, take a risk, and turn it into something pretty good.
Wow. So you had the courage to make the leap, take a pay cut. I mean, what was that like going through that experience where you're making that? Did you have friends that encouraged you? Did you just like, man, life's too short, seize the day, or because that's a big jump, especially probably doing pretty well financially in the banking world.
Yeah, and this was in 2009, so height of the recession and the financial crisis. So just having a job in finance was a win. And so yeah, it was mixed. My parents were a little confused. Folks were a little worried, but
Who is this
I was
Bill
lucky.
Gates?
Yeah.
Who is this Bill Gates guy?
Well, I didn't have that job yet, so
Huh.
I left. No
You
idea what was
left with
coming.
no other vine to proverbially hang on to. You just
Right.
left.
Yeah. I knew that it was time to move on, and that I had to move to the West Coast, where at the time that's where technology was. So I moved from New York to the West Coast. Now that seems crazy. There's so much technology in New York, but at the time there was, like I
Mm.
said, Indeed, there was Etsy, there were maybe a handful of VC firms, Union Square Ventures, folks like that. But if you wanted to do tech, you had to be on the West Coast. And so moved out there with no plan, no job. And but I did have some mentors that supported that decision and just said, this is, you're going to have a much happier, more fruitful career if you step outside finance. So I'm grateful for that.
Oh, so good, and so good to have the mentors to help you in that. Is mentorship something that's played a role for you throughout your career?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been a recipient of great mentorship, and I try to do the same and find folks to mentor and build up as well. But I've been really fortunate to have, I mean, the mentor who convinced me to leave the job in banking was one of my first managing directors in at the investment bank. The folks that I worked with at Microsoft were all fantastic mentors. And in fact, now at Route, I've brought them on as investors and ones on the board as well. So I think one of the things that I learned early on was to treat the relationships that you have as lifelong relationships. These aren't this isn't a career transaction. This isn't your boss for a little while. This is someone that you can learn from, someone that you can build a relationship with. And you never know what's going to come of that relationship long term, but approach it with humility and build trust and do the right thing. And
what's your advice to listeners who maybe don't have a mentor or great mentors yet, and they want to get on that search?
The best way to find a mentor is to find someone who's doing something that you're interested in and help them. Just find a way to do something that is useful for them. You don't need to ask, you don't need to say, could we have a coffee every week and you can help me solve problems. I find I learn best by exposure and by sort of being alongside folks. So I always tried to find people who are doing really interesting, extraordinary things and chip in however I could. And whether that was building a financial model, helping them solve a problem, ghostwriting emails, whatever it was. And what that does is it lets them want to spend more time with you, even if it's not formally as a mentor. Say you become one of their go-to folks.
That's a powerful strategy, because a lot of people are like, well, I need to identify mentors and I want to ask them to mentor me. But this is way more effective, I got to believe. Find the people, help them, be of value, and maybe like the Microsoft strategy, give more value, deliver more value than you extract from the relationship. And you'll always have great relationships and great mentors.
That's right. Yeah. If you're asking someone to be your mentor, you have to wait for someone to say yes. If you are doing something for someone, you don't have to wait for them to say yes. That can be you're delivering value before you ask for something in return. And so it's more in your control. So that's the advice that I give to most people who are looking for mentorship is go to an interesting place and be useful.
Interesting place, be useful, and think about the areas too where you want to grow. I suspect being key. Otherwise, you're just getting mentor. Being more strategic and more pointed about what you want to grow in is going to help you identify the right people to be around.
That's right. And sometimes you don't know what those areas are. You want to be intentional, but I think, as Steve Jobs said, you can only connect the dots looking backwards. So be aware that you may not know exactly what it is that you need to learn to get to the next level.
What's a tool or gadget that's contributed to your success that listeners could go out and purchase?
I'm looking at an array of them on my desk right now. Phone, AirPods. Those are the ones that I use a lot. I think this is a very technology answer to this question, but I now for the last couple of years had an 8-sleep bed. And
right on. Okay.
Now it's pricey. They're great. I think it helps you focus on sleep, find the patterns that are destructive to your sleep and fix it. And so whenever I'm on the road, I miss it. And when I come home, it's like my favorite thing.
So what kind of patterns are you talking about that are disruptive to sleep and that are
it gives you analytics on how long it takes you to go to sleep, how long you stay in bed after you wake up. And so it's very apparent if you've got that nighttime scrolling addiction or the first thing you do in the morning is grab your phone. It shows up in the report. Yeah.
It'll report back to you.
Yeah. And so it's nice to have a little bit of accountability that hey, if you're awake, maybe go get up, stretch, have some breakfast, cup of coffee rather than spending 40 minutes before you start your day or on Slack or email.
So working for a company that has offices in a lot of different places, how do you manage your own lifestyle from sleeping, traveling, workout, whatever? I mean, how are you thinking about that when you obviously need to be on point for your 13,000 customers that you're working with?
Yeah. I try to keep a pretty regular schedule, even when I'm on the road. Obviously, with time zone changes and all that, it's hard. But it is. I pack the days with meetings. I want to be talking to the team, talking to customers, talking to partners, learning and engaging, and then unwind at the end of the day so that I can be reset and start again the next day. So it's having that kind of regular routine you put in place some boundaries is definitely beneficial.
What are three success strategies that every employee and leader need to be keeping in mind right now? Or if you don't have three, you've already given us probably 50 during this episode. But a couple of your go-to success strategies.
Building long-term relationships is key. So that requires you have to operate with integrity. You have to be transparent. You have to be yourself. People pick up on falseness. Most people don't want to spend time with people even at work they're not transparent. You don't know what's going on. So build those relationships, be high trust, be high integrity so that you can get the best out of the people around you, be really high agency and ownership, which we talked about, being sure that when you say you're going to do something, you do it. If you see something that could be valuable to the team, to the business, to the customers, even if it's outside that core job description, go do it, and be useful to the people around you. If there's that especially early in your career, when you're lucky enough to work with really great people, be useful to them. Watch what they're doing. You can learn a lot from observation of successful people.
Fun episode today. Wow, packed with good stuff. And we learned a lot about packaging too, and insurance and how that all works and the difference that Route's making out there. And man, when you look back over your career, maybe 30 years from now, maybe longer, what do you hope the legacy you will have left would look like?
It's a gigantic question. That's kind of the ultimate question, I think, I would want to be able to look back on a lot of really great relationships, people that have become friends, people that are, that I've mentored, that mentored me. All of those relationships are really what will last, especially in something like technology where everything is constantly being disrupted. But I also would love to look back on having had a big impact on all the customers that we're serving. So it's one of the best things about working at high scale companies. You get to work with 13,000 brands and help them work with millions of customers. And so it's the folks that you touch that matter the most.
Yeah, the legacy isn't through a stock price or a bridge or a building. It's through the people we touched on the way. Very cool episode today. Thanks for coming on, Michael.
Yeah, thank you.